I had a dream that I was with a group of people and we were on some kind of journey. And in order to finish this journey, we had to go through these turbulent waters. But these water, I mean, it was extremely turbulent and it was a lot of rocks in the water as well. Lots of rocks. Very, very rocky. And you had to go through it, and I couldn't swim. So everybody had went through it but me. And I was standing there because I was like, I'm not getting in that water because I can't swim. And I was just sitting on the side. And they was like, you have to go through it in order to get to this, the next level. You have to go through these turbulent waters. And I was like, no, I'm not getting in that water. So I was looking around like what am I going to do? Like, am I just going to live here? Because I wasn't getting in that water. I'm only 5'4". And this water, it ranged in height between like 4 feet and 5 feet. So in like some areas was 4 feet, some was like 4.5, some was 5 feet. And I was seeing a vision of myself in the water as I was looking at other people that had gotten in the water who was my same height. I was imagining what I would look like in that water. And I knew that water would come up and be smacking me in the face. It was really hot water and it was so turbulent and rocky. And I just was like, I'm not getting in there. I didn't want to die. So finally, a person in the group, like the whole group kept trying to tell me I have to do it. And finally, a person that had went through the water already. And the way they was telling me to do it too, let me explain this. I was sitting on the side of the water, but they was coming to me in like a round circle vision. Like, it's hard to explain. They was in like a round circle. I don't know if it's like another dimension they was looking in and talking to me in or what, but they wasn't actually with me. They was in a round circle talking to me and trying to encourage me. So one lady, she wanted to help me, so she came back through to help me get through this water. And we couldn't just walk on land. For some reason, at this point, you had to get in this turbulent water. And she said, I'll help you. I'll hold your hand. Because she was like, you have to do it. They kept trying to tell me that. And I said, okay, if you hold my hand, I'll do it. And so she held my hand. And the way this water went, at the end of the water, because my concern too was it a waterfall? But they had assured me that it wasn't a waterfall at the end. You just get off and get on land. But if you get to the end and you hit it at the wrong spot, it was a tear in the atmosphere into another dimension. So everybody else in the group that I saw was able to get off out of the water, get back on land, and continue the journey. But me and the lady that was with me, we accidentally went through in a certain way, like a certain area of this water, and we went through a tear. And when we did that, we fell into another dimension. And it was, when we fell into this other dimension, it was about a good 4 feet, I would say 4 feet drop. The tear was in the air, and we fell through onto a street, actually. And the way that these people dressed was similar to what I would say was like the 1800s again, like the mid 1800s. I've been in a dimension like this before, that they dress like the mid 1800s, but different, better actually than our 1800s, but very similar still. And it was just like that. Everybody was really neat, these big ball looking dresses on the women, and guys wearing top hats and suits, and they had canes and mustaches. They was just very precise. Everybody's hair was done very nicely. And when I fell into this dimension, I was dressed just like my counterpart in this dimension. There was another me in this dimension, and I was immediately dressed just like her, and I looked exactly like her. And the other person with me, I'm assuming they did as well, but I didn't see them even though they was with me. It was a female. So when I fell into this dimension, everybody knew me, and I was this really smart, I was some kind of scientist, which is interesting because that's what I did in this world. I have a chemical engineering degree, and I did science for several years before God miraculously, and there's probably a lot of other adjectives I can add to that. But he moved me from that, and he moved me into being an evangelist, and this is what he has me doing now. So I was a scientist in this world, and I had a laboratory because everybody knew me, and because people was greeting me as this person, I just went to this university, and at this university I had this laboratory, and it was very intricate, this laboratory. I saw these tubes, and I could tell it was some kind of huge scientific experiments going on. And I don't think this was our world. I knew in the dream was another dimension, because in our world in the 1800s, an African American probably did not have a laboratory, because they just wouldn't allow a lot of African Americans back then to even read and write. They tried to make us stay uneducated. So very, very few African Americans even got an education. So I don't think it was our dimension. But in this dimension, I was still African American, and I had a laboratory, and I was very highly respected. And I was just going around checking out my life in this dimension. But the whole time I was in this dimension, my counterpart was there too. And I was trying my best to avoid her. And I saw my counterpart as well. And they were saying things to her like, oh, you just did that, and you just went here and stuff like that. And she was looking confused like, no, I didn't. And she was like, what are they talking about? Like, I didn't do that. No, I just saw you go over here. And she was like, no, I didn't. So I was really, throughout the dream, I was like a spy trying to watch out. And the other lady was with me, and I was trying to watch out and make sure that I didn't bump into her. And so the way that the dream ended, with me and my counterpart was just discussing how we have to get back through that tear and get back into our dimension. But it was up in the air, and we was trying to think how we're going to jump into it to get out, because we have to really jump in to it. And then we would be back in the water, and we have to hurry up and get off on land, because we was right at the end, so we was trying to figure that out, how we going to get back. We had to go through that tear. So this is very interesting to me, because this dream is just showing that a lot of movies that I've seen in the past, even I thought about the Twilight Zone. There was an episode in the Twilight Zone, or it was Outer Limits. I can't remember. I used to watch that stuff. I don't think it comes on anymore, but I saw an episode, and it was in black and white. So I'm thinking it was a Twilight Zone, and it was a tear in a veil, and this little girl fell through into another dimension. And that's what this was. It was like a tear. So maybe God is just confirming to me, and it just made me think about how when Jesus visited me in the first place and showed me that other dimensions are real, like right in front of my face, he showed me this. He opened the air right in front of me. So there was a tear. I didn't even think of it that way. He was showing me when he did that, he was tearing into another dimension. So that is very interesting. And I also want to add this too. The whole time this group that I was in that had to get in this turbulent water and all this, I knew we was high ranked. And I'm not sure exactly what that meant, but I knew in a dream, one thing it meant is we was high ranked over a lot of other believers. Like we were this high ranked authority over a lot of other believers. I knew that in a dream, and it was just a remnant of us. So that was a dream I had.